I really only had one job because the law firm I started out at when I was 23 years old, by a series of mergers, is really still the same law firm I'm working for today. The two people who made the biggest impact on my career are people who made that impact before I even started my career, and that would have been my grandmother and my mother. And because of their, let's say, messaging, and how they were and how I learned from observation, I think they gave me a terrific path to wanting to have a career, wanting to be an independent woman, and that's probably the two biggest influencers in my life. The one that I always tell people is so different than today is I have two children. So I gave birth to two children, but that was back in the day when there was no such thing as maternity leave. And at a pretty young age, I had already developed clientele, and I was pretty instrumental in transactional work is what I do, real estate attorney, business transactions. And I remember having my first child, Beth, and 2 weeks into staying home, because I thought I'd give myself at least a few weeks to recover, 2 weeks into staying home, I got a call from two of my partners, one of whom is now my husband, and asked me, and those are the days when there were no computers, etc. You know, I'm dating myself, but I'm holding my daughter in one hand. I still have this picture, and I'm talking on the phone on the other, and I'm trying to write, because they're asking me to do a contract. And I said, well, isn't there anybody else in the firm who could do this possibly? Because we had other attorneys who were able to do this. No, the client wants you. So I did it. And that was 2 weeks after the pregnancy. And then I had gone back after 4 weeks. I tried to do everything with some thought in it. I think that where I am today is the culmination of a lot of decisions I've made, and I feel comfortable with those decisions. You learn from the bad ones, you hope to repeat the good ones. You know, when I graduated law school, 50% of the class were women. So I was already in that very first stages of a huge influx of women. And clearly there's a difference between the number of women who go to law school and the number of women who, the percentage of women over the years who stay in there. But I think it's becoming a closer and closer, the gap is narrowing, and that there's a significant number of women. I don't think that we're definitely not an anomaly anymore. We're definitely accepted. I think there are certain societal issues that are going to affect women, whether they're lawyers, doctors, accountants, people in the hospitality industry, insurance agents. It doesn't make any difference. There are just certain things that you have to deal with as a woman. And I'd say just be as professional as you can. Work within the system and love that job, because I have really loved being a lawyer. And if you go into it, and I would tell this to anybody, man or woman, you go into it for the first reason, you practice law because you love the law. That's the reason you should go into it. And that's the advice I would give young women or young men. I think that society is finding less and less of a difference, even though they don't even realize it, and it may not even come to the fore. It's, as we know from recent articles and lectures, and I've even given a lecture, a couple of lectures on implicit bias. That implicit bias is moving away from and it's unconscious, so they don't even realize it, but it's moving away from having people making choices that are dependent on gender or race, and they're just making choices based upon the individual, and that's all you can ask for. If everybody could peel away the layers of the onion and make choices based upon the quality of the individual, then there wouldn't be any surprises. Next year it may be, 10 men and 2 women, but knowing that it didn't matter and it was because of who they were is, I think, important, and I think that's what's reflected right now.